Seconds away on Studio 5.
My Redeemer lives.
Songbird Nicole C. Mullen is talking life and love. He's single, you're single. Is there something happening you can share? And going inside the rocking band Oh Sleeper. Then
being yourself can be hard, and it's like, aren't I always being myself?
life through the eyes of a 13-year-old in the new film 8th Grade. All in Studio 5, starting now. And welcome to Studio 5. Let's fire up this week's look at the best headlines in the world of uplifting entertainment. At number 5.
Steph and Aisha spent the 4th changing diapers since their family just got bigger.
It is baby number 3 for the Currys. Aisha Curry posting, "God has been too good to us."
The proud parents, who we just can't get enough of, posted precious photos of their son Cannon W. Jack Curry, who was born on Monday a bit earlier than they had expected.
The NBA star and celebrity chef welcomed baby Cannon to the world July 2nd.
Over that shoulder, whoa!
At number 4, 2 music makers popping the big question.
Maybe we can be each other's company.
Is Justin Bieber engaged? That's the rumor. TMZ, the first to report, the singer popped the question to model Hailey Baldwin Saturday in the Bahamas.
The Biebs and Baldwin are all abuzz on social media, with Hailey's dad, Stephen Baldwin, tweeting, "Always pray for God's will. He is moving in the hearts of JB and HB. Let's all pray for his will to be done. Love you too so much."
Houston, Katrina Corley, will you make me a man and be my wife?
Hey.
Come here, Bobby.
That's Chance the Rapper proposing to his longtime girlfriend. It came during 4th of July celebrations with family.
I made it through, made it through, made it through.
And a pretty nice way to start the show, but it gets even better. You could say this next guest needs no introduction. We'll simply let her voice do that.
Words alone can catch a falling star. Will I know my Redeemer lives?
We are joined right now here in Studio 5 with Nicole C. Mullen. So good to have you back.
So good to be back.
Last time I talked to you, you were embarking on a tour to encourage young women.
Yes.
And now you've released new music
Yes.
that we've been waiting 7 years for.
Yeah, I mean, I had a hymns album in between, but okay, all original material except one is this one, yeah.
7,
years.
wow.
A year of completion.
Yeah,
Okay,
indeed,
yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
so.
Now, the project is called Like Never Before, and we know that you've said in the past that much of your music is based on life experiences.
Yes.
So what happened to give birth to Like Never Before?
A lot of love, a lot of loss, and a lot of redemption.
Wow.
And so just, going through a night season, having a marital status change,
Right.
becoming a single mom, learning how to continue to implement forgiveness and to receive healing and to allow other people into your pain and to minister. And to see the Lord begin to turn my night into day. And so the album has songs on there about that journey.
Yeah.
And really ultimately about how even when it's all said and done, the love of Christ is greater than anything we could go through. The sufferings, like it says in Romans 8, and I'm not going to preach, I promise.
No,
but
you're fine.
It does say, for the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. And so his love, again, is greater still.
How would you compare this project to previous works?
It's a continuation, but it's also it's a new chapter. Well, not even just a new chapter; it's a new book. So it has a variety of styles. Of course, you're going to have the upbeat; you can dance to it.
Yeah.
You have the worship; you can worship to it. You can cry to it. Love songs on it. It has the whole gamut. It is Nicole C. Mullen, but at the same time, it's on the cusp of the morning. Everything you've heard from me prior to has been out of my night season. This is the first fruits of my day.
Do you have a favorite in all those that have birthed
You know that's hard to pick.
I know it's hard.
It's like picking your favorite child. That could get you in trouble. But they're all like pages out of my journey, my journal, I should say. So on different days, different songs speak to me in another way. And so, like I was saying earlier, today, the song that's probably speaking the clearest to me is Greater Still. Because at the end of it, it has the celebration of, I will rejoice, I choose to rejoice. And I found that that is not just something that we fall into, but it's a choice that we make. And when we choose to have joy again, rejoice, then in that we find strength and we find grace and we find help and we find joy.
Beautiful. So. Now you are a mom, as you said, a single mom
yes.
now. Your children musical, you seeing any of that?
Yes, my daughter actually, she's 24, and of course for the longest she always said, I'm not gonna sing, I'm gonna be an actress, you know. Now she's the lead singer of a band called The New Respects. They're on tour all the time. They were on the cover of Rolling Stones magazine. They are Christians in the mainstream. And so she does music. My son, who's 20, he plays piano, he sings as well. And my 15-year-old son, he thinks he's just like the coolest thing ever. He programs, and he's just like, you know, he thinks he's a little, you know, Chance the Rapper. I'm like, you are not Chance. Anyway, but he's a great kid. But they're all musically inclined.
You, growing up, knew early that you wanted to sing.
Yes.
But some of those around you advised you that you should probably...
And they hadn't even heard me.
You should probably...
You know, let me clarify what happened was, see, when I was a teenager, you know, they send you to, you know, you spend a week with somebody, you know, that's in the field that you want to be in. And so I went to the guidance counselor and she said, well, what do you want to be? And I said, well, I want to be a singer. And she said, well, you know, people don't make a living at that, you know, so let's pick a real job.
Yes.
And so I said, well, I want to be a lawyer as well. And so she said, okay, so she put me with a lawyer for a whole week. I hung out with him, filed papers and did this and that. At the end of the week, he was like, so kid, what do you really want to be? Like, I guess you'd stink at this. And I said, well, I want to sing. And he said, then go home and do that. And from that moment on, I had the mindset of, okay, there may only be 3% of the people who try that will actually succeed in it, but my God is big enough to make me a part of the 3. And I don't know how he's going to do it. But he had given me a word, even when I was about 12 years old. He said that he was going to give me songs in the night and that he was going to take me around the world singing for him. Yeah. And if he was able to do Cinderella stories on the Esthers who were orphan girls and that became, you know, a queen, and the David who became a king, and, you know, Rahab who became, you know, part of the lineage of Christ, and he can still do a Cinderella story in Nicole C. Mullen. And I don't know how he's going to do it, when he's going to do it, but I trust him that he will. And so I sit here today not because I'm qualified, but because he really does qualify the call.
I hate to be nosy, but I'm going to be. You've been linked with a gentleman in ministry, and he's single, you're single. Is there something happening you can share?
Well, yes, we are in a relationship. And you know what, he has really been a godsend. Donnie McClurkin is what I'm speaking of.
Yes.
Years ago, after I had gone through a night season, and I had gotten to a point of, okay, Lord, I'm not really gushing with blood anymore over the wound of what happened. It's more of a scar, but I'm definitely not interested in being in another relationship. That was my mindset. I'm good. Me and Jesus, we're good. Like, till death do you part, you know what I'm saying? And then I found myself on a flight, sitting next to Donnie McClurkin for 9 hours. Both of us were going to the Ivory Coast, singing on the same, at the same concert. And we wind up having a great conversation, and my heart began to crack open. And afterwards, a couple of months later, he invited me to accompany him to the Stellar Awards. And we got to know each other a little bit better. And we've been on a journey ever since. And yeah.
Nicole's latest album is called Like Never Before, and it's available now wherever you purchase your music. We're waking up and rocking out with Oh Sleeper when Studio 5 returns. Welcome back to Studio 5. Here are the next 2 headlines in our countdown of the best uplifting entertainment stories. At number 3.
Kind of hard for me to explain.
Texas crooner Leon Bridges graces the cover of the latest edition of Relevant magazine. The dishwasher turned music star is talking about his sophomore album and his new sound.
It would have made sense to make another album that was the same, similar to my first album. I would have done great off of that, but I wanted to set new goals, and I wanted more than that.
The self-described Christian who makes art's new project is called Good Thing.
I've been loving with no meaning, running from a feeling now.
At number 2.
2018 NBA Draft. The Denver Nuggets select Michael Porter Jr. from the University of Missouri.
Studio 5 congratulates rookie forward Michael Porter Jr. on his multi-year deal with the Denver Nuggets. Back surgery limited him to 3 games in his final college season, and recent headlines suggest his start on the NBA court could be delayed, but his faith is not wavering.
Man, all I can say is it's a blessing. You know, I'm not entitled to this. Everything's a blessing, and I'm so excited. You know, my path was different, a little different than everybody else's, but I'm gonna make sure that this pick is this organization's best pick they've ever made.
And be sure to stick around for this week's #1 headline. Right now, it is time to wake up. We are taking you to Fort Worth, Texas, and going inside the band, Oh Sleeper.
I'm Micah Kennard. I'm the frontman of Oh Sleeper. When the guys found me, I was playing bass in a pop band, and I was going to school for screenwriting. By that point, I'd bounced around a few different bands. I told them, I was like, if I were to write for a band and I had full creative control over what I was writing, it would be about my relationship with God. And our first single was Vices Like Vipers. I had a lot of trepidation about releasing it. I had some lines I wanted to say, take my lust, this world's love. And I wanted to say that, but I was like, guys, I feel awkward saying this. Like, I'm basically revealing I have a porn addiction. It was a big moment for me because the band literally just huddled around me and they're like, no, dude, you write whatever you are right now. That's what we want. And I took it to heart. And so every album, When I Am God, Son of the Morning, Children of Fire, Titan EP, Bloody Unbowed, every album is exactly where we're at right now. We don't really identify as a Christian band anymore. If you were like, well, what are the lyrics about? Well, they're about my relationship with God. Well, then you're a Christian band. No, we're not, because we're a band of 3 people. There's me, a Christian, and the rest of the band, everyone's on different levels and everyone's different places. It just doesn't seem fair to say we're a Christian band. I'm still writing the same amount of the lyrics that I always have been. Yeah. The message is still the same. And that boils down to my relationship with God. In my experience, just Bible beating people from stage hasn't worked very well. It runs people off. And I see those people run off and I'm like, wait, I want those people. Something that's rang in my head a lot, especially in this genre, you may be the only Jesus they get to see. People in my band, I may be the only Jesus they get to see. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it's very important for me to like scrape away myself and make sure that that's what they see.
And of course, Oh Sleeper has new music for you. But right now, take a good listen to that music behind me. That is the musical genius of P.J. Morton. He's a preacher's kid, a PK if you will, and a member of Maroon 5. But he is an amazing artist in his own right. His latest project is called Gumbo, and it includes guest performers like Yebba and Lecrae. Take a listen at why Gumbo is what's playing in my ear.
I feel you touch in the pouring rain, and the moment that you wander far from me, I wanna feel you in my arms again, and you come to me on a summer breeze, keep me warm in your love, then you softly leave, and it's me your love. I really mean to love.
Gumbo is a record that I went home to New Orleans to make. It's actually the first album I ever made at home. And it was really special to me. It got me back to a place of, you know, where I fell in love with music.
Once the battle is won, they gon' wanna come. Oh, but what use do I have for you then? You were never there when it was all happening. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, you weren't with me shooting in the gym. But here you come running after we get the win. Ooh, when it's all said and done, they go on.
Still ahead.
I'm really nervous all the time. I try really hard not to feel that way. But you just need to face your fears.
Your first look at a big screen trip back to the 8th grade.
As always, make sure to share and subscribe to my channel. Gucci!
I think you're so cool. Maybe you just need to put yourself out there a little.
I'm gonna stop eating with you if you keep doing this.
You said I could say one thing.
Meet the star and the director next. And welcome back to Studio 5. It is time for the final headline in this week's look at the best headlines in uplifting entertainment news. At number 1. Whitney is in American theaters right now. It's the first film produced with the cooperation and interviews from Press Shy members of the singer's family.
God laid his hands on me.
Including the legendary singer's mother, Cissy Houston.
Nobody could touch Whitney as far as singing. They said, Mom, she taught Whitney everything she knew about how to use that voice.
You had 3 places to sing from. Heart, mind, guts. She learned them all.
You could say anything you wanted to say to her, what would you say? I love you, Whitney.
Everybody loved her.
She was a little girl wishing upon a star, always trying to find my way back home.
And that wraps the countdown, but not the show. Critics say you're going to fall in love with Elsie Fisher, the big beating heart of 8th grade. So here's your Studio 5 first look at the film about a 13-year-old enduring the tidal wave of challenges, making her way through the final week of middle school.
Kayla Day is kind of just this, you know, she's a 13-year-old going through her last week of 8th grade, and she's just kind of a nervous, weird kid, and you know, who isn't, but yeah, and I think the film is just walking through her life.
The topic of today's video is being yourself. Being yourself can be hard, and it's like, aren't I always being myself? And yeah, for sure. But being yourself is like not changing yourself to impress someone else.
I was doing stand-up for 10 years and I was so violently tired of my own face and my own voice and my own head. You know, it was like I was really exhausted myself as a subject. I was doing stand-up for a while that was very personal about sort of what I was feeling and going through at the time. And I was worried, like, is anyone going to relate to this that isn't a 24-year-old male comedian? And I was surprised to find that a lot of people did relate to it. And like a large core of the people that liked my stuff and understood my stuff, I felt most clearly, were girls like Kayla of that age. If there was a bridge between us that I had to walk across to write this story, it was built to me by them.
A lot of people like call me quiet or shy or whatever, but I'm not quiet.
Most quiet, Kayla Day.
I don't talk a lot at school, but if people talk to me and stuff, they'd find out that I'm like really funny and cool and talkative. By the way, I like your shirt a lot. It's like so cool. What?
One more week of 8th grade, huh? I said one more week of 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of stories made, at least for this age, are, you know, very big, like Harry Potter or something, where people think it's escapism for the kids. I actually think it's realism for the kids because it feels like walking over across the hallway and talking to your crush feels literally like going to slay a big snake dragon or something. So a lot of these movies about, you know, kids dying, or I love you, but I have lupus, or whatever the movies are, you know what I mean? And it's like, they have to be so big to make the kids, you know, to make the emotions of a kid feel true. It was like, can you sync the audience's heart rate and hers? Because if that's happening, it doesn't matter what the situations are like. It doesn't matter if in theory that situation is very small and silly.
Growing up can be a little bit scary and weird.
We will begin to explore these changing bodies of yours. It's gonna be lit.
I'm just a very weird, awkward, nervous person all the time, so I find comfort in ending conversations with certain verbal tics, I guess. You know, or sometimes physical tics, and one manifested, and it was just like, I would say instead of okay or cool or hi, just Gucci.
I started doing it because I could tell it embarrassed her for me to do it, and then everyone on set did it.
As always, make sure to share and subscribe to my channel, Gucci.
I think you're so cool. Maybe you just need to put yourself out there a little.
I'm gonna stop eating with you if you keep doing this.
You said I could say one thing.
This is like a really good portrayal of the highs and lows, because like Kayla feels good about herself making her videos, you know, almost as like a coping mechanism for her anxiety, and like expressing herself. And that's like a high of it, and then she's like, you know, kind of like looking at all the other people doing crazy cool stuff in real life, and that, you know, makes her feel not so good.
I'm really like nervous all the time. I try really hard not to feel that way, but you just need to face your fears. Just sort of my hopes and dreams.
Right.
I was a complete mess when I was your age.
Really?
8th grade is the worst.
8th grade is in American theaters July 13th, but you don't have to wait till then for this week's Photo of the Week. Philadelphia showers some brotherly love on native son Will Smith. This newly unveiled mural of the superstar gives new meaning to the phrase Big Willie style. London-born artist Richard Wilson painted the 65-foot tribute on the side of a building in West Philadelphia, born and raised, right across from the Global Leadership Academy. And it is this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
You know, some people have never
Sampling another taste of PJ Morton's gumbo.
But either way, we're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be alright.
Here in Studio 5, next. And we are back, but almost out of time for this episode, so here's what we're cooking up for you for next week.
Oh, I do like a party.
Come on, Pig.
What should happen if you forget about me?
Silly old bear. I won't ever forget about you, Pooh. I promise. Not even when I'm 100.
It's your first look at a childhood favorite come to life on the big screen.
We should be working this weekend, Robin.
But I promised my wife and daughter I'd take them away this weekend.
All hands on deck.
You won't be coming to the cottage.
Well, it can't be helped.
Your life is happening now, right in front of you.
What to do, what to do, what to do. What to do indeed.
Pooh?
Christopher Robin.
No.
Get a behind-the-scenes look at Christopher Robin.
Where it needs to be.
And that's coming next week. As for the final word for this show, I thought we'd return to PJ Morton and gumbo. It is just that good.
I believe you know the door to my very soul. You're the light in my deepest, darkest hour. You're my savior when I fall, and you may not think that I care for you when you know deep down inside I really do. You need to show how deep is your love. It's your love, how deep is your love.
I really mean to learn.
That's a great final musical word. I can certainly jam to that. Remember, the show continues on Instagram as well as Facebook, and you can reach out and touch me at Ephraim Graham on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And then come on back here and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.